Good afternoon. Saturday lunchtime, cup of tea. What better thing to do on a rainy afternoon than to come along and learn a little bit about resilience and bouncebackability. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this week's Lockdown Life to Loving Life Summit. What number am I now? Number 13, workshop 14, workshop 14 of 16. Only 2 more left this afternoon. We've been live for 4 days, bringing you an array of workshops to help you get back to loving life after this lockdown. So workshops in all aspects of life, from confidence. Roxy's been on this morning with stress and anxiety. I've done assertiveness, we've done giving difficult feedback, we've had hormones and periods, we've had fitness, we've had personal style, we've had relationships, we've just had all kinds of stuff. It's been amazing. Makeup, the whole shebang. So yes, I'm here this afternoon to do this afternoon session all on resilience. So let me get some slides up on this screen. There we go. Can you see those? Good, good, good. If you're on and you're joining me, do say hi. Let me know that you are here, and let me know kind of what you'd like to learn this afternoon in regards to this topic of resilience. So do say hi if you are on, or even if you're on replay. Actually, if you're catching up on replay when you've got a little bit of me time, then still say hi. Let me know that you're here. You can ask questions throughout. That's absolutely fine. And equally, if you are watching on catch up, you can still put questions below the video, and I will make sure that I do come back and respond to them for you. So let's get chatting about resilience. Okay, so I think what's important first and foremost is that we get super duper clear on what we mean by being resilient. Resilient is not, let's be clear what it is not. First and foremost, it is not surviving. It's not kind of like, you know, stoically powering on. It's not coping. It's not when we're just managing to keep our head above water. It's most certainly not flopping on the sofa like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards at the end of a day, necking a bottle of wine and congratulating yourself that you are still alive. That is not being resilient, right? In fact, those are all warning signs that your resilience could do with a little bit of work, all right? Instead, here's what it is, okay? We're resilient. When we're resilient, we are thriving, okay? Not just surviving, we're thriving when we're dealing with quite tough stuff. You know, actually, we should feel like we grow through a period of adversity as opposed to just getting through. Yeah. So what is it? It's being agile, it's being flexible, it's being adaptable. Resilience is all about feeling optimistic and being able to seek opportunity. I love these 3 words. Okay, quite linked closely actually to the stuff that I was talking about yesterday when we defined. Actually, you know, being resilient is all about having perseverance, having tenacity, you know, having a bit of grit about you. And at the same time, it's also about being in a position where you protect your physical and mental well-being. All right, so you can see how that's a bit different to flopping on the sofa, feeling like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards. You know, and also when we're developing our resilience, we are building on strengths so that we can mitigate our gaps. And part of being resilient, believe it or not, is being able to ask for help when you need it most. All right. So it's not being the, you know, the stoic martyr in life and battling on through. And, you know, it's not that. That's not what it is. Okay. So, you know, I'm interested. What did you think it was? I can see there's a number of you here on live now. So do say hello. Say hi to me in the comments so I know who is on. You know, is that what you thought resilience was? Was it something else? Was it something different for you? And actually, that's a bit of a surprise. Hey, Lorna. Lorna's on. Oh, good. You're looking forward to this one. And you've got your pen and notebook ready to take notes. Fabulous. Yes. So if that's different, let me know what your version of that was, okay? But it's important that we're super clear. It's about being able to thrive through periods of adversity and difficulty. It means we're agile, we're flexible, we're adaptable, we're optimistic, we're seeking opportunity. We've got perseverance, tenacity, and grit. We take care of our physical and mental well-being, and we build on our strengths, mitigate our gaps, and it's about being able to ask for help when we really need it, okay? So here's what I'm going to take you through today. This is our Ladies Life Lounge personal resilience model. So we're going to look at 5 key aspects, all right? We're going to start with a bit of how to turn pressure into performance. One other element of resilience for us is all about self-belief. We're going to look at motivation, but in a bit of a different sense and context than you might expect to. We're also going to look at humility, because if being resilient is also about asking for help, then humility is an important ingredient there. And then we're going to also look at what it takes for us to be able to focus. Hi, Rachel. So Rachel says, I would have described myself as very resilient. However, list, you're definitely somewhere in the middle. Cool. Great self-awareness. So maybe as we go around these 5 things, you might pick up on a couple of areas that you think, they're the bits for me that you particularly want to get better at. So we'll have a look at these step by step. All right. So let's start off then. Being able to turn pressure into performance is an interesting one, because it's all about the way in which we kind of view performance and our mindset about the pressure. We always have sources of pressure, and you might be thinking about this in a work capacity, but you might also be thinking about this in a personal capacity. Sometimes when we're really ill, if we, God forbid, touch wood, but for somebody who's going through maybe an experience of cancer treatment, okay, you would want to feel really resilient to be able to go through some cancer treatment, and that cancer is a source of pressure. All right. So when we're saying about turning that pressure into performance, it's about being able to deal with that pressure in a really positive way, so that it isn't making you worse. You are using it almost as energy and fuel to be able to get better. And what happens with us in a lot of situations when we're under pressure, the reason why we don't perform is because we experience this concept of twisted thinking. All right, there's a whole list of different ways that our thinking gets twisted here on the screen. I want to see if any of these feel like they resonate with you. It's likely that there's a couple of them that you tend to do. All right, you probably don't do them all, but you'll have a default couple that you quite often, revert to type in. So sometimes we have inappropriate beliefs. So we have beliefs that just don't serve us. God knows where we get some beliefs from, and whether they are beliefs about yourself and your capability, whether they are beliefs about the organization that you work for, or your boss, or the task at hand, or society, or the world. Sometimes our beliefs really don't serve us. And actually, when we dig deep within them, we've kind of just made them up as some kind of story. Maybe we saw one little tiny glimpse of evidence for it, and that's it. We've kind of slapped it all over any example of that for the future. So you might be somebody who has some inappropriate beliefs that are not serving you. You might be somebody who has really high expectations. So I've said they're really high expectations of others. You might also have really high expectations of yourself. Okay, and those high expectations cause that pressure to be even bigger. Therefore, it's much, much harder to take. So maybe that's you. Maybe you do have too high expectations of others. You might be somebody who catastrophizes. Are you the drama queen in the club? Are you the one that thinks the absolute worst? One tiny thing happens, you're like, oh my God, the world is going to end because of this. You blow things out of proportion. You speculate wildly, beyond belief into all kinds of scenarios. So for some of us, we catastrophize. We think that the absolute world's going to end. Sometimes we overgeneralize. We kind of use big, broad, sweeping statements. Well, this always happens to me. Yeah, everybody hates me. You never do this. Do you get the picture? So notice whether you use quite overgeneralizing language and use broad sweeping statements that mean that, you know, you then think it's everywhere or everybody or never for you, when actually it might just be that one situation. So overgeneralizing can really cause the pressure to mount and inhibit our ability to perform. Equally, there's lots of people who discount the positives. I do this one sometimes. There might be some real positives in what's happened, but if there's one particular thing, part of that that's really hard or that isn't going very well, then I get tied up in that and I discount the positives. I brush them off as, well, they're just flipping little things. They're not really significant because look, is this bit that's still all a bit crap or is not working or flopped or broke. Okay, so be careful of discounting the positives because that's a real example of, you know, feeling the pressure and being unable to turn that into performance. We always have some mind readers knocking about. So people who think they can read other people's minds and we turn that into some kind of whipped up story. Again, that is very rarely true. So you might be mind reading what other people are thinking, you know, and that gets you all in a bit of a tiz. Sometimes you might be somebody who predicts the future or scaremongering that says, well, you know what's going to happen now, don't you? You'll hear people like this in work, perhaps, where they'll predict the future and start scaremongering because the big cheese has called the managers in for a meeting. Oh, redundancies on the cards, guys. You know, watch your backs. This is it. You know, we're all going to get cold. Okay, stuff like that. It really doesn't help. That's an example of very twisted thinking. If you're quite a logical reflector type person, then you might succumb to black and white thinking. So black and white thinking, you struggle to operate in the grey. You know, it's either yes or no, right or wrong, in or out. It's this or the other. For you, there's nothing in between. Okay, and life's very rarely like that. It's good to be able to get used to operating in the grey. And then finally, we do sometimes take things personally, and that really doesn't help, especially when they weren't intended to be personal. So all of these are examples of twisted thinking, all right? They are all things that affect our ability to turn pressure into performance, okay? So, you know, when it comes to turning pressure into performance, there are some things that you can do. Most importantly, I think it's about understanding what is actually going on for you first. So there's a self-awareness piece. You know, we are hardwired to focus on the negative. Every single one of us, it's built into us, part of our primal response to spot danger. We have a negativity bias. So know that that makes it 10 times harder for us to stick with the positive when we're feeling the pressure. Right? What happens when we feel that pressure and that primal response kicks in is that our bodies are flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, both stress hormones. They're released into the body. They cause an amygdala hijack, so part of the brain that's responsible for our fight or flight mode at the back of the brain. When the amygdala kicks in and releases those hormones, it directs all blood flow to our limbs, ready for fighting or flighting, when actually we need blood flow to the brain to enable us to think better. Therefore, our cognitive function is inhibited and we're unable to make sound decisions. So what do you do here? We untwist that thinking. If we want to then view our pressure as a positive, we've got to untwist the twisted thinking. So, you know, here's a really basic example. Coal, when coal is under pressure, it produces diamonds. Therefore, you can do the same, all right? So it's about identifying which of those twisted thinking examples are at play for you, and then how can you untwist that to develop a new and more effective response? All right, so if you are overgeneralizing, it's about saying, right, I'm overgeneralizing right now. It isn't everybody. This is just one person. Therefore, let me think logically about that. It's not a bigger deal as I made it out to be. That's really easy. I can deal with that in isolation. If you are mind reading, stop yourself and go, why don't I just go and ask that person what they're thinking right now? And actually, when I get it from the source of truth, there'll be nothing to worry about. It won't be half the things that I thought it was. And even if it was, at least I've confronted reality and we can have a conversation about it. So you'd apply that kind of process to any of those elements of twisted thinking. So step number 1, work out which methods of twisted thinking are your default ones, which ones play out for you. And then know what happens to you in your body when that twisted thinking kicks in. Learn to recognize the triggers, self-awareness, and then in that moment, untwist that thinking. That's me overgeneralizing. Let me untwist this. What is a new and more effective response for me to have at this point? Okay? So that's number 1, turning pressure into performance. That's just one element of the 5. I'm really thirsty today. I'm going to drink this cup of tea, actually, before it goes cold. Every day I've run a workshop this week, I've got to the end and had a cold cup of tea, and I don't want to drink cold tea. So let's move on then to the second of 5, which is self-belief. So love this quote. If you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Fabulous quote by Henry Ford. So we're talking about self-belief here. Self-belief is the faith and trust in yourself that you are competent and capable to do something. And you know, sometimes we're not, are we? Sometimes we're not full of self-belief. We don't have faith and we don't have trust in ourselves. We don't feel capable and we don't feel competent to do something. Again, the first kind of sign to this, the first kind of point to doing this is to recognize the signs that you are lacking some self-belief. So there's a few here, all right? Number 1, you know, the signs are, you know, do things that you believe are right, okay? Be willing to admit when you're wrong, and whether you are willing to walk away from bad situations and bad relationships, or are you the type of person that'll kind of stick around those things? You know, do you do things that you're like, no, I'm doing this because I believe it's right? You know, when you're wrong, do you try and sweep it under the carpet and hope nobody notices? Actually, sometimes when you're in a bad situation or relationship, you just stay there because you feel trapped. Potentially, that's what might be happening for you. So top tips on how you can deal with this is to, first and foremost, you know, I mentioned at the beginning when we were defining resilience, resilient people focus on their strengths. So spend time doing things that you are brilliant at, okay? You know, don't be spending all of your time consumed trying to get good at your development areas. I'm not suggesting you ignore your development areas at all, but don't be sucked into that vortex of only focusing on working on the things that you don't feel particularly good at. The science demonstrates, I think I talked about this in the difficult feedback session that I ran the day before yesterday, is that actually within the body, we trigger our happy hormones when we focus on our strengths, and they help us to feel really good about ourselves. So focusing on what you are brilliant at is hugely important. You know what? Then if you're going to spend some time on your development areas, then make it cool to slip up. Make it cool to fuck it up completely. Make it cool to make mistakes. Just fail fast. All right. What I mean by that is allow yourself, give yourself permission to make mistakes. And as soon as you have, get up, dust yourself down, reflect back. What do you learn from that? Okay. Take the lesson, move forward, do it again. All right. Don't go hiding in your hermit crab shell thinking, oh, that's it. I'm shit at that. I'm never doing that again. That was humiliating. That was a rubbish experience. Get up, dust yourself down, fail fast. What do I learn? Use the learning, apply it next time. Off you go. And actually, as I've just described that there, that's using grit. Okay, that's having some grit. You know, you're not just throwing your towel in at the first hurdle. You're not being a flake. You know, we call it, if you few times I've heard sort of people being called a snowflake because they just don't have any perseverance, any tenacity, or any grit. Okay, so with self-belief, they're the things. Okay, focus on what you're brilliant at. If you're going to fail, fail fast, but give yourself permission to do it, and then get some grit, have some perseverance, tenacity, and grit about what you're doing. Okay, so that's number 2, self-belief. The third element of our personal resilience model is motivation. Now, you know what it's like, isn't it? You say to people, you've probably been asked in an interview, what are you motivated by? And everyone goes, money. You know, it's bullshit, really. As human beings, we are deeply driven by a sense of self-worth. So fundamentally, money's just this material thing that allows us to do stuff that we find enjoyable, that gives us a sense of self-worth, and that what we do every day makes a difference. Okay, so it's a lot deeper than the superficial stuff we usually focus on. Oh, I've got a frog in my throat. So you may have come across a guy called Tony Robbins. He's an American motivational speaker. I think he's a bit Marmite. You either love him or hate him. If you hate him, it's usually because of his style, but actually the stuff that he talks about is really flipping useful. And one of his concepts is these 6 human needs. Okay, now when we figure out which ones of these 6 we are massively driven by, okay, and they change over time, but ordinarily, I think Tony asks people to look for the 2 that are their main drivers and to make sure that you are satisfying these needs healthily. Because if we don't meet them healthily, we subconsciously find a way to meet them unhealthily. Okay, so let me give you a run through of the 6. So the first human need is a need for certainty. Okay, and that is an assurance that you can avoid pain and gain pleasure. All right, but practically it's things like being able to have security in your job, right? So you're bringing home a steady salary every month. It might be that you, as simple as you like to go on holiday to the same place every year. It might be that you would like to have the same things for your tea on different days of the week, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you have a high motivational driver for certainty, then you like routine. Okay, you want to keep things nice, pleasurable. You want to avoid anything uncomfortable or a bit tricky. On the flip side, though, some people have a high need for uncertainty and variety. So the need for the unknown, for change, for new stimuli, for spontaneity, you know, so that could be that actually people get bored in the same job. So they prefer to work freelance. They're not so concerned with having a regular same amount of income every month. So that changes all of the time, and they like that. They like to meet new people. They like to go to new places. They like to eat different food, all of that kind of stuff. So if you might have, and you could have a high need for both certainty and uncertainty. It's knowing where you need them most. The third one is significance. So a need to feel unique, to feel important, to feel special or needed. So, you know, before I mentioned that if you don't get these needs met healthily, you will meet them unhealthily. Well, sometimes if you're someone with a high driver for significance and you don't get that need met, you're not made to feel needed or important in the job that you're doing, you start causing trouble. Yeah, turn into a bit of a gossip, things like that. Or you'll name drop in conversations to make yourself look good, and people are like, oh, for fuck's sake. Ugh, it does me head in when he does that. But if you've got a high significance driver, that's how that can play out. Fourth one is a need for connection and love, a strong sense of closeness or union with someone or something. So that could be about your relationships with people, but it could also be about being part of a team. That might be massively important for you. And then the last two are more spiritual. The others are a bit more practical. Last two are more spiritual. A need for growth. So an expansion of capacity, capability, or understanding. So a need to keep getting better, learning new skills, reading new stuff. You know, so if you thrive off learning and knowing more and bettering yourself, then you might have a high driver for growth. And then the last one is for contribution. So a sense of service and focus on helping and giving to others. So whether you go out litter picking of a weekend, picking up plastic off the beach, volunteering at a youth service, whatever it may be, okay? If you've got a high driver for contribution, then you're motivated by that kind of thing. So remember, we typically have a couple that are most dominant for us. Work out what they are for you and look to meet them healthily, proactively and healthily, because if they're not being met healthily, you will subconsciously find a way to meet them unhealthily. And then that leads to unhappiness and not feeling very, very resilient. But you can see if you are meeting your needs healthily, you know them, and you are meeting them healthily, then it's really, really easy to feel a lot more resilient in life. Okay, onto humility. All right. So we said at the beginning that resilience was about being able to ask for help. All right. So that's why humility is important. So to be humble, to be modest, to practice gratitude, you know, able to recognize when you need help and support, being able to protect your own physical and mental well-being. I know so many people at the moment that their own physical and mental well-being is their kind of downfall when it comes to feeling resilient, because they're just not taking care of themselves. And, you know, why don't we seek help? Well, often it's down to it because we feel too proud and we feel a sense of shame. We're embarrassed when we feel like we need to reach out for help. And it's about shifting that mindset that actually it is a strength to be able to reach out and ask for help. So if this sounds like something that you need to work on, here's a couple of things you can do to develop it. Number one, have some self-awareness. Notice a lot of this is about self-awareness. It's about being able to spot the signs of when you need help before the shit hits the fan. If the shit's already at the fan, it's too late, okay? The thing about resilience is you develop it when the going's good, when the seas are calm. If the shit's already at the fan, the seas are choppy, you know, there's big waves, you're in the middle of a storm, it's too late to start working on your resilience at that point. So develop your resilience when the going is good. I do this all the time, all right? I've quite often the shit hits the fan, like, I've done it again, didn't see it coming, didn't have the self-awareness. So know your own warning signs and learn to spot them. I'd also recommend you recognize the feeling of shame, know where it happens in your body and what sensation it creates. And then, you know, because what happens is we typically tend to fight it without even realizing. We try and bury it, you know, not allow it to surface. If it's there, let it show up for you. Sit in it rather than fight it, because when you sit in it, it starts to pass. It will pass much more quicker. That's not even English, is it? It will pass more quickly. And then surround yourself with people who care, people who you trust. So 3 things: people who care, people who you trust, and people who are skilled to help you with the things that you need help with. All right. So that's humility. And then lastly, number 5 is all about focus. Now, in this day and age, we're all trying to juggle 27,000 things at once, right? Really unhelpful. Power of Focus says this: if you want to achieve things with excellence, which I'm sure most people do, I don't think I've ever met anybody who doesn't want to achieve something with excellence. Well, if you do, you can only focus on between 1 and 3 things at once. Now, I don't mean multitasking. I mean 3 important projects, you know, things that are going on, 3 big things. Like objectives, if it was in work, that type of stuff. If you've got between 3 and 10 things on the go at any one time, then I'd say you're looking to settle for mediocrity. You're only ever going to do a half decent job of those things. And if you've got any more than 10 things on the go at once, well, bloody good luck to you, because the chances of you achieving them with any kind of decency is quite remote. Okay, so if you have got too many things on the go at the minute, now might be a good time to do a bit of a cull, a bit of a strip back. And here's 5 things that you can do. All right. Number 1, work on one thing at a time. Multitasking is absolute bullshit. It's a complete myth. And actually, if you work on one thing at a time, then you deliver that one thing with excellence. You also deliver it much more quickly, meaning you can get on to the second and then the third and then the fourth quite fast. So actually, you don't end up taking much more time, but you deliver with really high quality. Second tip is to time block. Time blocking is a brilliant technique to help you get stuff done and be focused. So in your diary, block out 30-minute, 1 hour, however long chunks of time, and you focus on that particular task for that time. And when the time is up, you stop and you move on to something else. And make sure that you take breaks and that you drink water. God, the number of people that don't do this, it is such a false economy to think, oh, I haven't got time for a break, I just need to power on through, because your productivity dips massively, and so does the quality of your work. So make sure that you're taking breaks, make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, because otherwise your cognitive function just isn't as effective as it should be. Tip number 4 is be present. So, if you're going to do something, be in the moment with it wholeheartedly, as if there's just you and that other person or that other thing in a bubble and nothing else in the world matters. And practice mindfulness to get you to help you get good at some of that. And then finally, don't forget to exercise. Even if it's going out for a brisk 20-minute walk at lunchtime, all right, making sure that you are exercising, and also eat healthy fats, right? You might be thinking, what's that random thing? Eat lots of avocados. They're really good for cognitive brain function. So they will help your focus massively. Who'd have thought you'd be suggested to eat lots of avocados today? But there you have it. There you have it. All right, 5 top tips there to help you with your focus. So that's a overview of how to build your resilience through our 5-step personal resilience model. Okay, so we got clear on what it meant to be resilient, and then we looked at how to turn pressure into performance. We looked at self-belief, we looked at motivation, we've looked at humility, and finally we have looked at focus. So I hope that is useful for you. I hope that gives you a bit of a taster on how to start developing your resilience. Remember, work on it when the seas are calm and the going is good, not when the shit hits the fan. It's too late at that point. And if you've enjoyed this workshop or any of the other workshops that we've had on the go throughout this summit, then here's a big warm invitation for you to come and join us. The doors to the lounge, Ladies Life Lounge, our members club, are open right now. So you can become a member today, and we would love you to sign up with us and come and be a member. So let me tell you a little bit about what you can get if you decide to come and join us. It's amazing. For what it costs you, every day I'm blown away by the value that our members get. So we've got this huge library of online video modules and downloadables under each of our 7 secrets: pretty confident, pretty calm, pretty healthy, pretty assertive, pretty ambitious, pretty stylish, and pretty personal. So they're all categorized under those 7 secrets. Check me out, remembering them all and in order. So similarly to like little sessions like this today, loads and loads of sessions like this to help you learn. We also host 2 live monthly masterclasses every month with industry experts. So you've met a bunch of our resident experts this week. We also bring in other experts. We ask our members what topics they want to learn about, and we go get the experts and bring them in. Plus, once those masterclasses are delivered, they are kept in a library. We've got a back catalogue of in excess of 40 masterclasses now, probably nearing 50 at the moment. So they are always there for you, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch them as many times as you like. You've got them whenever you want them. We do hold our hands to the fact that we have got the best community of supportive women you have ever seen. You will not find a group of women like this anywhere else on the internet. No backstabbing, no bitchiness, no cattiness, none of that. No judgment. Genuinely kind, supportive, helpful women. The best women you could be surrounded by. They will absolutely cheerlead you on with anything at all. Naturally, we've got a team of resident experts on tap. You can tag them in anything, anytime, and they will answer you So you've got a full team to help you with all aspects of living the happy, fulfilling and successful life that you flipping well deserve. We have monthly group coaching video calls. So every month, 2 of our members get to take the hot seat, share a challenge, problem, issue, goal or aspiration with the group. And we all chip in and give them our 2 pennies worth ideas, ask big questions, get them to think about things differently. It's amazing. It really is transformational. We've got book club. We have quarterly social events with guest speakers, and woohoo, we're able to get back to face-to-face events after this week. So our summer social is all planned for July. So if you join in this particular round of having the doors open to the lounge, then you will be able to come along to the social. And all of our members get some fantastic perks and discounts. And best of all, you get easy access to both me and Rox. All of this at the moment, while the doors are open throughout this summit, for just £29 a month. It's less than £1 a day. Less than £1 a day. So ordinarily, our monthly membership is £49 a month. You can save a little bit of money by having an annual membership that's £499. But while we've got the doors open, and this is until midnight on Monday, this offer ends at midnight on Monday. You can sign up and join for just £29 a month, and you get to keep that price for the life of your membership. It's not just a trial period. We won't put it up on you after a couple of weeks or a couple of months. You get to keep it for life. Equally, if you'd rather chuck yourself in, go whole hog, you can get an annual membership. This is obviously the best value for £299. That's a one-off payment for the annual membership. Absolute bargain. So if you would like to sign up, well, you can see I've got the little banner going at the bottom of here. There is a link for you to come and join us. And I'll show it you again on a slide at the end, but it's going along the bottom of this screen constantly. So that is the link for you to join at £29 a month. And if you do join as a result of this workshop, using the link that I've got running along the bottom, you will also get a free goodie bag, which has got lots of fab swagging, like a Pretty Confident journal and pen, some Clinique goodies, Floral Street perfume. We've got an affirmation bracelet, and you also get to choose one of our slogan t-shirts from the shop for half price. Amazing. So this is how you sign up. There's the link. They are capital L's for a reason. They do need to be capitals if you type them in the link. So if you head on over to that link, then you will get all of the details of what the lounge has to offer. And then if you decide to sign up, there is a sign up button on that page where you can register. So we would love you to come and join us. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me. You can pop them in the chat below this video. As I said, you can ask away. Even if you are watching on replay, I will make sure that I come back and answer them. It might be useful to tag me in it. So tag me, Jodes Salt or Ladies Life Lounge, and I will make sure I come back and answer them for you. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you enjoyed it too. And if you've got any questions about the workshop or about the membership, pop them below. We'll reply. And remember, the doors close at midnight on Monday. Here's an example of one of our slogan t-shirts. Oh, my hair's in the way. Big boobs today. But yeah, I'm more about shattering glass ceilings than fitting into glass slippers. This is today's slogan tee. So yes, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I hope it stops raining wherever you are. You managed to get out and about for a bit. But yeah, tomorrow you can binge watch all of these workshops if you want to. We're going to put them on a watch party, and you can catch up with them throughout the weekend. So hopefully we'll see you in the members club. So have yourselves a fabulous weekend. See you later. Bye.